Welcome to the Street Dog Podcast, brought to you by the Street Dog Coalition. We're an international nonprofit providing free medical care and related services to pets of people experiencing or at risk of homelessness. I am your host, Daria Tavana, and I'm also the Director of Development at the Street Dog Coalition. Now, on this podcast, we talk about a lot of things, but for the most part, we explore the world of animal welfare through the eyes of experts, street dog vets, and volunteers. And we share inspiring stories, we provide updates on our work, and we give you an inside look at the challenges and the rewards, of course, of working to improve the lives of animals belonging to people experiencing or at risk of homelessness. So, if you're tuning in live on Facebook, hello, it is great to have you here. Go ahead, drop an emoji in the comments, say hi, let us know where you're tuning in from, and please do not hesitate to ask a question if you feel inspired to. And if you're listening on Spotify, which is where I love listening to this podcast, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube, please make sure that you're following the Street Dog Coalition on Facebook so you can also tune in live every episode. That will allow you to engage with us in real time, which we love to do. So, on today's episode, we have a very special guest. It's just family today, which is very exciting. So with us today, we have our Street Dog Coalition Board Chairperson and Buffalo Team Lead, Dr. Kathy Makolinski. Woo! I really need a soundboard. Kathy, first of all, I usually ask this question before I hit record. Please tell me I pronounced your last name correctly.
You did.
Oh, okay, great. I mean, I've only heard it 30,000 times. So, Kathy, tell us how you're doing today. Tell us where you're tuning in from. How are you?
I am well. Thank you very much, Daria, for having me on today.
Yeah.
It's nice to be representing the Street Dog Coalition and the Buffalo team.
Of course.
I'm from, obviously, Buffalo, New York. It is currently raining here and not snowing. It does not snow 12 months out of the year, contrary to popular belief. But it is probably going to snow soon. So getting ready for that.
Getting ready for the snow. Yeah, I think I've actually been to Buffalo 2 or 3 times, and every time I've been there, classic, just covered in snow. And are you like a snow person? Do you like the snow?
No.
No.
I'm here. My family's here. It's a nice place to raise a family for sure. But I'm more of a warm weather person. So I try to go to the warm weather sometimes, at least once during the winter in Buffalo.
I love it. And I feel like we can go to the warm weather in our minds sometime. I feel like there's a beach in your mind.
Always.
Always. I love that. All right, Kathy. So I have some questions for you, and this is going to be a really great episode because I know that a lot of people listening kind of have a sense of what we do, but they may not have a full grasp on what we do. I know that in the past few months we have received the attention of a lot of new listeners. So I'm really excited because I feel like this episode is going to give everyone a really good idea of what we do, how we do it, and of course, allow people to know you a little bit better, because as our board chairperson, you are, I think, really instrumental to the success of our organization, and you help us make a lot of really important decisions. So you are the person with the power here in this conversation, and I'm just really excited to have you. So before I make you blush a lot, I'm gonna ask you our first question. So, Kathy, and I say make you blush because I know you're just really nice and really humble. So why don't you go ahead, if you don't mind, maybe you can share with our listeners a bit about the mission and the goals of the Street Dog Coalition, as well as your role as all the hats you wear, right? As well as your role as the chairperson of the board and the Buffalo team lead, volunteer team lead.
Yeah, I'm always happy to speak about the mission of Street Dog Coalition. Before any of us came on board, Dr. John Geller had a fabulous idea for an organization that would provide free medical services for those who are unhoused with their pets, and also those at risk of homelessness.
Mm.
So if I'm a veterinarian, Dr. John Geller is a veterinarian, we in the medical profession see people who, have beloved pets, and are what we would call responsible pet owners. They are providing love, companionship, food, water, shelter when it's raining out, but may have difficulty accessing veterinary care or other types of services, something as simple as grooming. So it is spectacular that John took those challenges that he encountered in the veterinary profession and turned it into the creation of this organization. I'm also remiss if I don't mention Katrina Weschler, who is currently the executive director. She came on board with Street Dog Coalition somewhere in the beginning, and has worked with John to steer this organization into growth and to fulfilling its mission through strategic planning. Katrina always, I love when she says this, she said, we have seen the tree grow. We can see the positive benefits of the work that we're putting in. But as a board member, as chair, and as Katrina's executive director, her leadership, we know that we have to strengthen the foundation and strengthen the roots of this organization so that we can continue to grow and provide services in the future. Any not-for-profit has to continually assess the challenges in their environment and make plans to overcome those challenges to be successful in the future. I just wanted to add to that, my role as a team lead, a co-team lead in Buffalo, New York, has really I have boots on the ground in Buffalo, fulfilling the Street Dog Coalition's mission. And that has taught me a whole lot more about what this organization can accomplish.
Yeah, no, and it's wonderful. I really appreciate you saying that. This podcast, so many episodes have begun with, well, I met Dr. John Geller and he changed my life. And it is tremendous for me, someone who's relatively new to the staff, who's relatively new to the impact of the organization, to kind of step into this team of people that are so committed, really well respected, and for good reason, because they all work really hard. Katrina is, of course, an absolute hero. She's so incredible. She's so supportive, and I really enjoy hearing you talk about how rewarding it is for you to run the Buffalo chapter as a co-team lead, because I've seen you in action. I saw you in action at AVMA, and you have this way about you that I think is pretty representative of everybody that the Street Dog Coalition attracts. And that is just very cool, calm, collected, knowledgeable. I don't know if this is just because vets are kind of have to be cool, calm, and collected because we have animals that are always kind of co-regulating to our state. But it was really exciting to see you in action, Kathy, because you have an incredible way of working with both animals and people and communicating the needs of animals to their owners. It's just really wonderful to see you in action. So I'm sure you're welcome. I'm sure the Buffalo team is just happy to have you at the helm.
That was a great day because we were at the AVMA convention, and a lot of volunteers were interested in spending some time and seeing what the Street Dog Coalition did. And I think everybody was super impressed by what we were able to accomplish that day. There was one particular young man who found a puppy 3 days ago in an alley, and he was looking around for the puppy's siblings to see if there were any more, couldn't find any more. He himself was homeless, and he heard about this as a way to get essential care for the puppy. And a lot of people might say, you know, if you can't afford an animal, then you shouldn't have one. But in all reality, that puppy would have died without him.
Yeah.
He was cared enough and was compassionate enough to scoop that little guy up and to give him food and water and take him to the best place to receive care. So if people, it's unfortunate that people think that, when in reality, there's room for animal companionship everywhere.
I love that. I
And
love that,
how
Kathy.
spectacular it was to have, we had Hills on site, and there was a Hills nutritionist there who this young man got to hear straight from a Hills nutritionist what kind of food to feed his young puppy.
That was awesome. I remember that puppy, that tiny puppy that he like literally brought in his hands like this.
Mhm.
And I really appreciate you kind of acknowledging and clearing up this misconception. I think it's a misconception that maybe we've all had at one point in our lives, but as you know, even just in my working with the Street Dog Coalition, I've realized that there are so many factors that go into being a responsible animal caretaker, and having access to financial stability is just like one of so many aspects that come into play. And then, of course, as many of our listeners are already know, a lot of these pets, I don't want to use the word benefit, but a lot of these pets, in many ways, you know, uh, living on the street or living in circumstances that don't necessarily have four walls, have made them more social, has made them more active, have made them happier than a lot of dogs that kind of sit at home all day waiting for their parents to come back from
So
being away
true.
for 12 hours. So I really appreciate you sharing that with us. And maybe, Kathy, you can tell us, how exactly does SDC support and provide care for pets of people experiencing homelessness? Can you tell us about some of our initiatives, or some of the programs that you are now helping to implement?
Yeah, for sure. So we're fortunate that we have partnerships with Merck and more recently Western Veterinary Partners that allow us to obtain medical supplies so that we can host clinics, pop-up clinics in areas where people without houses or at risk of homelessness can bring their pets to. Alternatively, some veterinarians go out into the streets with areas that have pop-up tent cities and go to the people in order to deliver the services. So there's a couple of different models. In Buffalo, we're very fortunate to collaborate with St. Luke's Mission of Mercy, which is a human service organization. And for the past 3 years, we've been able to host pop-up clinics there. We are very fortunate that we get vaccines for both cats and dogs, as well as rabies vaccine, preventives, flea preventatives, heartworm preventatives, and we're able to deliver those services to pets. The one thing that is exciting about the Street Dog Coalition is that they have an advocacy program. So it is not only the one day of service that we're engaging with these folks. We may identify other areas of need that are beyond intervention in that environment. We may develop relationships to see that their dog needs a dental or a mask removed or has an eye problem that needs to be treated. So we have volunteers on our team in Buffalo, and other teams have volunteers too, that will serve in an advocacy role to keep in touch with these folks, to say, hey, we made an appointment for you to have your pet's teeth taken care of. We can the teams can individually raise funds for extra services like that, or we can tap into some national programs that can fund such things. The other thing that we have to offer is spay neuter. We engage with the person, we meet them where they are with their decision whether or not to spay neuter their pet. We describe the benefits of having a cat or dog spayed and neutered, and oftentimes that after hearing all the benefits, they do want that service for their pet. So we in Buffalo collaborate with Operation Pets to provide spay neuter. Street Dog Coalition has a fund that makes that available to people too.
Yeah, it's really amazing to hear all the ways, not only all the ways in which the Street Dog Coalition helps pets and their people, but all the, as many people may or may not know, we have at least 60 cities, 60 teams in 60 teams in 60 cities. That's there it is. There it is. And I think that it's so interesting to hear how unique and different these teams are. Some of them host their clinics at the same place every month. Some of them host clinics outdoors quarterly. So I really appreciate all of the ways in which our volunteer team leads like you, Kathy, are responding to the needs of the individuals who live in these communities. And there are lots of different variations, and there are, of course, many different ways of doing things. So there is this beautiful kind of creativity and innovation that we see happening in all different cities, which is really exciting.
Yeah, for a national organization, organizations might be more structured and more formalized. And it really is a credit to Street Dog Coalition that they allow their teams to assess the landscape within their particular location and come up with solutions that best fit that population.
I agree. It's a really beautiful thing. And can you tell us about your maybe either in Buffalo or on a national level, what would you say is like the biggest challenge that you face while working with pets of people who are unhoused and providing this care in commonly underserved communities?
Yeah, the biggest boots on the ground challenge that we find is transportation. Because a lot of times for the initial services, the street dog team is going to where the people are.
Yeah.
If the animal does need follow-up care, then we run into how is the pet going to actually get to the veterinary hospital or the spay neuter clinic. Dr. Geller very innovatively has looked into a ticket to ride, which is where an animal could be certified as has been vaccinated, is of a behavior and temperament that could ride upon public transportation. So if they present their ticket to ride, they could take public transportation to those appointments. That it would be ideal if we could have a program like that in cities across the country. For now, we rely on volunteers to transport pets to those appointments. And in most cases, the spay neuter clinic or the veterinary hospital can communicate with the client through telemedicine. COVID has taught us in veterinary medicine that the client doesn't necessarily need to be on site. We can gain consent for the treatment of their animal and explain everything via, telephone, FaceTime, telemedicine chats, so that we can be sure that they understand what's going to happen with their pet. So we've done that. Other challenges, financing follow-up care is always a challenge. Veterinary medicine, a lot of people complain that veterinary medicine is very expensive, and unfortunately that's just the nature of the game. People aren't trying to become billionaires by being veterinarians.
Right.
It takes a lot of money for young people to go through veterinary school, and they have a lot of loans that come as a result of that. So the prices that are being charged are considered to be fair market value for what they need to stay open.
Right.
So what we hope to do is be able to raise funds as a national organization to support more of that follow-up care for animals.
Yeah. Yeah. And thank you for shining a light on that. Um, I've, for my own pets, have racked up medical bills in the past, and I've, in my mind, stomped around in my mind. Of course, as a millennial, we just wish everything was free. Um, but it's really true. And I always have to remind myself, as I'm sure our listeners do, that the service that you are providing is in many ways invaluable. And I know a lot of our veterinarians, especially our volunteer team leads, who wish they could do this work for free. As a matter of fact, whenever we get a lot of our, whenever we get a team lead on our podcast, oftentimes they say, and our medical director, Dr. Hillary Wheeler, says this all the time. She says, what's so great about these clinics is I get to just come in and help. I don't
Yeah.
have to necessarily have, a long drawn out conversation about, finances. Sometimes that is the case, but I feel like for a lot of our veterinarians, it's just really rewarding to step into these street clinic scenarios and to just give and give
Mhm.
and give. So
That's why most people became veterinarians,
yeah,
and it is very freeing and uplifting to be at a clinic where you're seeing an animal and you know that you can provide care for them
yeah.
on the spot and have potentially access to follow-up care for them.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure it's humbling. It's a reminder as to why you got into this in the first place. And I'm laughing at you saying it's not like we got into this to become millionaires, because of course
Mhm.
you didn't.
Mhm.
Um, so why don't you tell us, as the chairperson of the board, what are your future plans and aspirations for the Street Dog Coalition? Are there any upcoming projects or initiatives or other areas of focus you're hoping to kind of lead the organization down?
Yeah, for sure. Um, our board has been growing. We have board members that represent various aspects of professional life, and we take all of those abilities and skills and direct them towards making decisions, strategic planning for Street Dog Coalition, and for growth. How do we want to grow as an organization in the future? Board members are also tasked with financial accountability. We want to make sure that the funds that are coming in are used in the best possible manner, and that we sign off on a budget. We support the role of the executive director, Katrina, so that she can do the best job possible. One way which we're hoping we can grow the board. Sorry, lost the picture there.
No worries.
We would love to have more diverse representation on our board. As a group, we understand and appreciate the cultural differences that people can bring to an organization like Street Dog Coalition that would have immense benefit for serving the populations that we serve.
Yeah.
It's nice for organizations to be representative of the people that they're serving, so that everybody has a better understanding of the challenges faced by a diverse population.
Yeah.
So that's one of the areas that we hope to grow in, is diversification in representation on our board.
I really appreciate that. And I'm really glad you connected the dots, because I think oftentimes we, I've worked at a bunch of nonprofits for nearly 15 years, and people talk about board diversification and how wouldn't it be nice if we had just a greater variety of individuals on our board. But I really appreciate you saying that the reason that we want this board diversification is not for like a performative allyship, but because we quite literally need individuals on our team who are representative of the populations we're serving. And of course, we're serving all different kinds of people, right? From all different kinds, and especially people who are more often than not marginalized. So I love this idea of us increasing that representation on our board. And therefore, I think creating a deeper connection to the population that we serve. So I appreciate that.
Thank you.
And if anyone's listening
Yeah.
and
And
is
wants to bring a set of skills that is different from what we have, we are all here ears to hear that from people and to engage them at that higher level of participation.
yeah, I appreciate that. And I really have to say that this board, you especially, Kathy, when I say this board, I guess I kind of, for the most part, mean you, because I've had the most engagement with you, is really, really special.
Mhm.
You guys care about this organization more than any board that I've ever worked with. And the way in which our board is capable of pivoting, of taking an idea they love, scrapping it because it's not working, and just starting over. Um, that kind of dexterity, I think, is not something that is common in a lot of nonprofit boards. So I have to say that if I was not employed by the Street Dog Coalition, I would want to be a board member, because there's this really youthful, as you keep saying, boots on the ground,
Energetic and
energetic.
enthusiastic.
Absolutely, absolutely. That atmosphere, I just love it. And I know that other people see it and feel it in the organization, and a lot of our listeners who have engaged with the organization, they get that sense too. And
Definitely.
yeah.
And to the point about being able to pivot, as the street dog has lots of exciting opportunities and things that come to them on a daily basis, and it's the board that's really making strategic decisions about which direction to go in. And I have to say, it's exciting to be a part of this board because we make good decisions.
Yeah.
We really do, in terms of people present in the organization, partnerships that are being formed, um, opportunities that are being embraced. It really has helped the organization grow in a special and unique way in the past 5 to 10 years.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think it's true from a programmatic perspective. From all of our new pilot programs to moving in, to Ukraine and doing work abroad for the first time is really amazing. And also the dexterity and flexibility that we have with our staffing as well. And I will tell our listeners this incredible experience that I had when I joined the Street Dog Coalition. I know at the time, SDC was looking for one development director. And I tell everyone this. I don't think I've ever told our listeners this, but I just think this is so cool and so street dog. We, of course, or you rather, you boiled it down to two candidates, me and the incredible Leah, who is now my co-director. But when I got that email from Katrina saying, hey, we actually realized that we kind of need two people for this role, and you're both amazing in very different ways, and we'd actually like to hire you both. I mean, who does that? Which organization has, I just feel like that was, so many organizations have this kind of like ego. I mean, we all have an ego, right? But this idea of like, well, we set out to do it this way and we can't change things now. But it was amazing. And of course, we both accepted the role, and our listeners mostly know about me. But for all of you guys who are listening, please go to our website and learn about my co-director, Leah Picker. She is incredible and focuses on institutional giving. And it was just a great introduction for me to the Street Dog Coalition. Like, talk about really understanding your own needs and, changing things up a little bit, and making a decision that I think was the best for the organization and for
Yeah,
both of us. So
it's a combination of courageous leadership,
yeah,
and like you said, dexterity and positive energy that
yeah.
really infiltrates this organization and makes it special and unique.
And those are just great words to describe Katrina. I know Katrina is listening to this. So Katrina, we love you. So Kathy, why don't you take us home by telling our listeners how they can contribute to and support the Street Dog Coalition's work? Could you maybe tell us couple of specific ways that people can donate or get involved with our organization.
Yeah, for sure. So if you go on Street Dog Coalition's website, which is wonderfully maintained and updated, you can see the 60 teams that are in existence across the country. You can contact a team leader to say, hey, I'd like to volunteer. You fill out a volunteer form, and in you go. On the streets, delivering services. Yeah, that may be as a veterinary professional, as a person who's helping clients complete intake information, distributing food and supplies at these clinics, or organizing follow-up care for animals that need it.
And I know that sometimes people come and volunteer just to take incredible pictures.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
there's so
such
many
an
different
important
ways that
role.
people can get involved, I think. And sometimes they start out taking pictures, and by their third clinic, they're like helping to actually handle animals.
Yeah, the pictures tell the story.
Yeah.
And if you have like a videographer who can come and make a 30-second, a minute video, it really does convey to our supporters what we are accomplishing. So
Yeah.
super important. The
Yeah.
other thing, which I may have you discuss, is that we have a step challenge coming up.
We do have a step challenge, Kathy. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I'm happy to shine a light on that. So we are launching a very exciting, thank you for that, Kathy, initiative, a fitness meets fundraising initiative, if you will. It's called the Street Dog Step Challenge. And from now through October, you are welcome to join our campaign. I know Kathy has joined, I have joined. And essentially, what we're asking our participants to do is to create their own personal fundraising page and to fundraise on behalf of the Street Dog Coalition, while also either agreeing to walk a certain number of steps every day or every week throughout the month of October, which is National Pet Safety and Protection Month. So for example, my goal is I'm hoping to raise $1,000, and my goal is to take, I think it's 5,000 steps a day with my dog, Rocky, my rescue beagle, Rocky. But if walking isn't your thing, I know a lot of people are also taking steps to learn a new skill, like taking steps to learn how to knit. I think someone is taking steps to improve a specific yoga pose. So it is called the Street Dog Step Challenge. And I know that a lot of people listening to this are probably all tensed up because the idea of raising money is so horrifying. And I would love to tell you that feeling goes away. As the development director, that feeling doesn't go away. But what I do is I make it very easy for you to raise money through different tips, tools, and tricks. And a lot of what I'm going to help individuals with is that mindset shift. So taking you from that place of feeling like you're asking someone for money to this place of, you're confidently offering someone the opportunity to help these pets, to help these people, and giving them a chance to do that, when they wouldn't otherwise have this opportunity to do that. So, that's the whole spiel, Kathy. How was that?
That was awesome.
So
Thanks
if
for
you
explaining that upcoming
Thank
challenge.
you. Thank you. And I'll actually put a link to that and a link to our website in the show notes. So if you want to sign up, by all means, sign up. Or if you want to reach out to me, if you have questions, you're welcome to reach out to me using the contact form on our website. I know a lot of you already have. You've been like, what is this step challenge thing? I'm really nervous about raising money. Can I do it? And yeah, I always tell people, like, worst case scenario, it truly sounds kind of morbid, but worst case scenario is you don't reach your fundraising goal, and that's okay. Some people are going to set out to raise $1,000 and end up raising $2,000. Some people will set out to raise $1,000 and end up raising $100. And guess what? It all goes into the same pot, and it all goes to help pets of people experiencing homelessness. So,
And given the opportunity, we have extended the message of the good work that Street Dog Coalition does to people
exactly.
who may not have come to that on their own. They were introduced to it by a friend.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Kathy. Yeah, so ultimately you're raising awareness one way or another. So if you're tuning in and you want to learn more information, contact us on our website or go ahead and check out the link to the step challenge that I'm going to include in the show notes. Thank you for that, Kathy. Look at you, just the best board chairperson ever. Is there anything else you want to share with our listeners before I let you go about your day, Kathy?
Oh, just to say thank you for tuning in,
Yeah.
and for learning more about the Street Dog Coalition and for your support.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone who tuned in live. I see you. I see you guys too shy to drop an emoji. That's fine. Thank you, everyone who's listening on Spotify and on YouTube and on Apple Podcasts. And Kathy, you were amazing. It was great to host you. This is the
Thank
first
you.
of many episodes that we'll be featuring you. So I'm sure I'll
Love,
see you in a
love to
meeting
come back.
soon. Thank you, Kathy. And thanks to everyone. Until next time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.